Thank you so much for joining us today, Autumn. You are an inspiration to so many out there for taking your pain and turning it into perfect purpose and passion and helping others who are dealing with challenges, not only endometriosis, but all kinds of health challenges and obstacles in their life. Why did you decide to come forward about your endometriosis journey?
That's an amazing question. I feel like I can talk about that for hours with you. I think the biggest thing for me is I had no idea that endometriosis was a thing until I was 30 years old. It was something that I dealt with since I was a teenager, that I remember, but my mom remembers it when I was like about 12 years old when I first started a cycle. So because I didn't hear that term for so long, it's something I was struggling with for 16 plus years. I was like, I have the platform. I need to come out and just speak about this and be genuine. And the day I did, my inbox was flooded with women with all different ages, teenagers, women in their 40s, people who've had a laparoscopy 12 times. And it took me back. And I had no idea I had this community of women because felt so alone in this journey that I was going through and so frustrated. I thought it was just a painful period. And so the fact that all these women were coming forward and being honest with me, I was like, there's so much more to this. I'm going to just do whatever I can. I felt like it's become my calling. I think there's a reason why that I was diagnosed with this. That's kind of like my positivity there. I'm like, and I was like, there's a reason why I was diagnosed with this so I could advocate and help other women. I went back to school, which we can talk about later too, because I was just so focused and driven to like helping other women because I wasn't getting the help for that many years, and neither was my mom.
Yeah. And I think what you bring up, it's like a very lonely journey because a lot of people don't talk about pain associated with their menstrual cycle or even just pain in general. No one wants to be viewed as unhealthy or unable to keep up with work, school, life. Most people don't want to be vulnerable or show that they're not viewed as strong. So that takes a lot to come forward. You mentioned your mom. So your mom also has been diagnosed and struggled with endo?
No, actually, no one in my family, not even my siblings, I have a lot of sisters, and no one has had periods to this extent that I was going through. So what I meant by mentioning my mom is that she loves to help others and loves to figure things out. So the fact that she couldn't figure out what was wrong with me, she felt so hopeless and helpless. And it was hard to see her go through that as well. And I think that now being in my 30s and now having a diagnosis, she feels really bad and guilty that she wasn't able to provide those answers while I was young and suffering.
And we all go back to like, how could and I'll just put it this way, like, how could a civilian know what to look out for when it comes to health issues? I mean, if gynecologists who are trained to look out for abnormal menstrual cycles and symptoms of things that could be wrong, and they still can't figure it out for, even if you're a patient for years, they can't figure it out. How can, like I said, a parent, a loved one have that onus on themselves? So I hope that she realizes that there's nothing in there. There's no part of that she needs to be responsible for. And that's why, here we are talking about these things so that the next generation of parents, the next generation of kids are able to identify at least what the signs and symptoms of endo can be so that they can go armed to their medical practitioner and say, like, I think I could have this. Can we look further? And if that medical practitioner doesn't have any experience or any knowledge about it, at least they can have a starting point of where do they go next. And I do want to talk about how you were able to go through your own medical issues and challenges, and then you went back to school. So tell us what you went to school for, because you are a doctor of natural medicine now.
Correct. It's so weird to say that. It's brand new. It just happened about a month and a half ago. I graduated. I went to school. I went back to school. Thank you, in my 30s for 3 years straight. So with my endo journey, like I mentioned, I was diagnosed when I was 30, about 2.5 years ago. And when this all happened, I think I need a backstory a little bit just with my journey to kind of get to where I was about going to school. So I've always had painful periods in high school. I didn't know that this diagnosis was related to my cycle at that time. I was found twice in high school on the floor in vomit, just very painful, pale green. One time ambulance had to come. I was like found in the hallway when it was raining. And so from there on, I was sent to, my mom took me to a cardiologist, a neurologist, a nutritionist, like every type of specialist, you name it, like we went to try and figure this out. We did go to an OBGYN, and I was put on birth control at a really early age, probably about 15, and I didn't have a period for a whole year. And I just knew something was off. I knew something was wrong, and that wasn't normal. So thankfully, at a young age, I was like, I'm going to listen to my body and get off of it. And ever since then, I haven't been on it. And so in my early 20s, I actually didn't have, still not diagnosed with anything. In my early 20s, I actually reconnected with my now husband. He's very into fitness and eating protein. And so he totally changed my lifestyle with working out and eating a lot more protein in my diet because I was vegetarian since I was 7 years old. And with that, I believe that really helped me. And then with just his energy and how healthy the relationship was, I did not have any symptoms. I didn't have any episodes, which we call them episodes, for about like 6 or 7 years.
Wow. It's a long stretch.
Yeah, it was great. I honestly didn't realize how long it was. And then towards the end of 2022, I started getting really painful periods again. Before this, I was diagnosed with vasovagal, and I was also diagnosed with dysmenorrhea. So dysmenorrhea is a symptom of endometriosis. It's very bad abdominal pain. Some doctors relate it to like the same pain as what you have when you're in labor. So that's just what I thought I had. I was like, all right, I have dysmenorrhea, I have painful periods. That's it. So in late 2022, I became severely depressed out of nowhere. Never believed in depression. Everything was going right. I'm a very happy person. And I didn't feel safe to talk to anybody about this because, like you said in the beginning, we like to feel strong and whatnot. I'm also a Taurus. And so out of nowhere, when my cycle came, that end of that year, I woke up at 2 in the morning and I felt like I was going to die. Very dramatic, but that's endo. And I was on the floor hyperventilating. My heart was racing. I was pale green. I had the cold sweats. I was vomiting. And I couldn't get off the floor. I really thought I was having a heart attack. And so my husband, who is a first responder, it was hard for him to call 911 because he's never really seen an episode before happen. So he called 911 and was taken to the hospital. And then per usual, give me some IV. All right, numbers are going up. Want to do like an ultrasound on your abdominal area. Everything looks great as usual. So right then and there, I was like, something is wrong. I was finally listening to my body. I was like, this is not normal. This is not just a painful period. I went to my OBGYN, same thing, it's dysmenorrhea. Maybe you need to go back on birth control. I was just so frustrated. I was like, this can't be right. And I was talking to my husband and then started researching some natural health schools. I was like, I've never done any like natural health routes or techniques to heal my symptoms. So I found an amazing school. It was only a year course to be a natural health professional. I was like, I'm going to do this just to learn for myself and maybe be my own advocate and see what I can do. Fell in love with it, kept going. Year 2, now I'm a holistic health practitioner. Loved it, just kept going. And I was like, I might as well become a naturopathic doctor. So I learned so much. I was able to put that towards my healing and share with others of everything that I was learning, not even just about hormones and your cycle, but so much more. And I started something on social media called Period Prep, which we are currently trademarking. And what it is the week before my cycle, I do kind of like just like a healing week. And I do all these things in order to help reduce my symptoms and help me be pain free. So, for example, doing red light every night, doing a castor oil patch every night that week, with little clary sage, making sure I have some yoga or meditation, not lifting weights, just doing light walks. I try not to plan anything the week before because sometimes plans could be stressful. So it's kind of just taking out the stressors out of your life that week before too. And after my laparoscopy, when I was diagnosed, I started using this, and I have been pain free since then. So I've kind of been my own little test dummy, as you would say, and sharing as much information that works, what doesn't work. And everyone's different, of course.
Right.
But I truly believe this has helped me so much to where I am now.
When you were diagnosed and you had the surgery, did they explain, because when you say you're passing out when you're so sick, did they explain where the endo was? Like, it sounds like it was very pervasive.
Right. So thankfully I found a new OBGYN. She actually, her expertise is the laparoscopy surgery, and she was really well known about diagnosing people with endometriosis. So the first time I heard this term was actually from my acupuncturist. She's the one that told me I was getting acupuncture for something totally different. And I was telling her about my pains and what happened. And she's like, I think you have endometriosis. Never had I heard that from any type of allopathic doctor in my whole entire life. I'm like, acupuncturist mentioned that to me. So that's why I started a deep dive. I found an amazing OBGYN. It was really hard because you kind of lose lack of trust in allopathic doctors within those 16 years I was struggling. So I met with her. One of my other symptoms was infertility. So I mentioned that to her, and that's kind of like a big one that is a trigger for OBGYNs, excuse me. And mentioned all my symptoms right away without hesitation. She's like, all right, let's do the surgery. And I hear all these horror stories from my followers and audience that a lot of their OBs don't believe them. They just kind of put it off. So I was very thankful for that. And when I did have my laparoscopy, they found some lesions on I believe it was my left side of my uterus, and that's it. I was very shocked that it wasn't both sides. It wasn't like on my liver, it wasn't on my kidneys or whatnot. Like just the pain that I was in and feeling like I was dying every single month. I was very shocked, but also grateful that it wasn't spreading or anywhere else in any of my organs, because we know that endo can be in any other organ besides your uterus. So yes, they did explain it. They did show lovely pictures of it. My husband was learning a lot.
It's I don't think people from the general population understand just how devastating the illness is. And like you said, it can spread to other places, extra pelvic, cause lots of complications. The pain ruins your headspace. I mean, who wants to live in chronic pain, especially when you have so much of your life ahead and you're like, this isn't supposed to be for a teenager, 20, 30, 40, 50. Like, you're supposed to have really good decades of living before you're supposed to be afflicted with your body, that your body feels like it's breaking down, essentially.
Right.
And then also the dizziness of not knowing what you have. For people out there who are struggling with health conditions, illnesses like endometriosis, what advice do you give them?
I would say to keep your boxing gloves on and fight for answers. Get a second, third opinion if you can. If search elsewhere for answers too. I think that was probably my main issue, was we just heard from one doctor, like, all right, that's what it is, because we want to believe them and whatnot. Once you get second and third opinions, you're learning about all these different terms and getting new blood work and whatnot. I found a hormone coach, and we tested my hormones via saliva, which a lot of allopathic doctors, they just want to do blood work. Excuse me, but learning that blood work with a needle in you one time a day is a stressor on your body. It can trigger like different numbers, and you're only getting that blood work in the morning versus like a saliva test. You'll test your saliva throughout the whole day. and read your hormones throughout the whole day, not just in the morning, and you're doing it at the convenience of your home. So there's all these different new tests nowadays too, and new health coaches and whatnot that have so much other information to give. I would suggest like just keep fighting for answers for sure. And then to also, if I can tell my younger self that you're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing is what like the consistency of that I hear in my DMs. It kills me. Like I get it. I was there, and I'm thankful to have a partner who's very supportive.
Yeah.
A lot of women don't have that, or they don't have a supportive family or supportive friends or whatnot. Like there's been parts where I've lost friends in this whole diagnosis and whatnot. It's very hard. I mean, some people lose their jobs because of this too. So I just would love to say that one, you're not alone. There's a whole amazing community behind you and here for you and will support you and love you.
So you're wildly popular on Instagram. You have over 500,000 followers. You don't just showcase hair hacks or ways to look your best, but you also show your life. You show your marriage, you show your struggles. How did the hair company begin?
So with Instagram, it's so funny. I kind of like blew up with my husband and I, and just being real and genuine with like travel and our relationship and whatnot. And when my laparoscopy happened, I told my husband, I was like, film everything. Film, if I'm throwing up, film it. Sounds really weird. I felt uncomfortable with that because sometimes people post that and you get like people like, you're doing it for attention. But for me, it was before my surgery, I was trying to look up to see exactly what I was getting myself into, what this surgery and was all about. And I couldn't find any influencers, anyone really talking about it, or they were talking about it, but they were showing like cute photos, not like the whole nitty gritty of like the down and dirty of what it actually is. So he started filming like the true, real and raw images and videos of what it was. And once we shared that, it kind of just opened up a whole nother like world. With that being said, in 2020, when COVID happened, I had a huge deep dive into products and ingredients. So it really are put into our body. I've always been into hair products, always wear extensions most of the time. So of course, that whole 2-week curve, I'm like, I'm taking these extensions out. I'm going to be at home, right? So took them out, made my own like hair serums of natural ingredients, played with like my vitamins and my supplements, grew my hair within 3 months. It was thicker and longer than ever. And I was like, every woman needs to know this. Like, this serum is so magical. So my background is wholesale apparel. So I kind of knew the manufacturer side and the wholesale side. So I started interviewing manufacturers here in the USA. And from there on, we started manufacturing hair supplements and serums, all natural and real ingredients. I was so frustrated because I would be in markets or beauty stores for hours just looking behind the ingredients. And there were so many ingredients that were red flags that have all these other symptoms that could happen to you. And there wasn't any like clean hair products. So that's what was getting me so frustrated. So I went in deep dive to read every FDA book that I could. I read some from the 70s and the 80s and just,
oh my God,
educating myself like crazy. And I was just so frustrated. Just kind of like there was a fire in me, just kind of like now being diagnosed endo, like there's this huge fire and it's like, I'm a fighter. And so I was like, I'm going to create one of the cleanest, non-toxic hair brands. And I would love to give back to the EndoFound with every sale. And I want to educate women of what they're really putting in their body with beauty products. I don't see any beauty brands that are kind of turning like standing out in a way where they're educating their customers like, hey, this ingredient is this actually that you're putting in your body in this shampoo. This is what it does. These are studies about it. There's so many hidden things that happened in our ingredients that we have no idea what they are. And of course, that lines up with hormone disruptors and endo and PCOS and affecting women and even men. Actually, my husband changed his whole entire hair products too. So using beauty products that help our hormones has been a passion for me too. And we're creating 2 new products. Actually, we have been the last 2 years, creating 2 new beauty products that I'm really excited about that should probably launch in July, hopefully. It's been a push and a struggle because I'm really challenging our manufacturer to make it as clean as possible and to be hormone friendly.
You know what's good about these conversations that we have with our friends like Autumn, who is a warrior and who does a lot of good for people that have endometriosis, is that people like Autumn help others and make their lives easier and better and healthier.
I think I know that.
Yeah.
I heard the whole entire thing. It's not like I can't hear.
So we're very, very grateful for Autumn's time today and for continuing to be on. I really think you're on like your own vision quest. And sometimes we are placed with hard things like endometriosis so that we can be in a position to elevate and help others. And I believe you're doing that. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Those are like it's really kind of you to say that. And like I said, I feel like it's truly my calling, and there's a reason why I was diagnosed. And I'm such a fighter and tough person, and we're all fighters and tough and going through this. And I feel like God really has the strong ones go through this, and there's truly a reason, and the outcome is going to be even better.
We agree. We agree.
Thank you for showing all your feelings too.
Thank you, Alexander. I really appreciate that.
Telling what you thought was wrong, and you want it to feel in your heart and in your body that you would be still yourself, even though you had. I forget the word.
You got it.
You can say endo. How about endo? It's a little easier.
I don't have any teeth up front because I lost them like a while ago.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I hope the tooth fairy came.
She did. Next night, I had another one.
All right. You did.
Okay.
But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We would love to have you come back and talk more about what you're doing and how things in your life are going.
You got it. And if not, then I will see you most likely at the Blossom Ball, which I'm really excited about.
Yes,
we've been trying to
excited about it too. We'll talk about that later.
You got
it.
But thank you again, Autumn. It was so awesome to have you. And for, I enjoy seeing how you're living your life out loud. And that takes a lot, and it's gutsy.
Thank you so much. I was so excited to be here and share parts of my story and hopefully inspire others and also to share that they're not alone. But thank you. I really appreciate it. And I love the EndoFound and excited to do more with you guys and advocate.
Thank you so much. And see you at Blossom Ball.
Thank you for joining us. And don't forget to subscribe and like our YouTube page.